You need to see this paper before judging him first. It was published in Science, and honestly, that alone caught my attention. Researchers studied Labrador retrievers and found genes linked to obesity. And one signal stood out more than the others. It was this gene, DENND1B, DEND1B, or however you even say it properly. I am not going to pretend I talk like a scientist. Let us just call it one important gene they found in Labradors. Because the name is not the real point here. That matters because hunger behaviour may begin deeper than habit. You may think your dog is greedy, stubborn, dramatic today. But this paper suggests biology may be shaping desire quietly, and that changes how you should read every mealtime stare. Look closely, because the story does not start indoors today. It starts inside inherited pathways affecting appetite, reward, and restraint. So when he begs again, the question changes immediately there. Is this simple misbehaviour or pressure he cannot explain yet? The paper does not excuse everything, and neither should you. But it demands a more honest, precise way forward now. Your Labrador finishes eating, then looks at you again, and honestly, that part always feels strange. He watches your plate, your hands, even the smallest kitchen movement, like something still is not finished. Sometimes he stays calm, just staring. Sometimes he gets restless again. And most people, me too, would laugh first and say, he just loves food. But when I read this paper, I was shocked. Genuinely shocked. Because I started thinking about my own Labrador differently. Like, wait, did I keep calling this greed when something deeper was happening? Because not every dog does this with the same intensity. Some settle, some keep searching, some seem full for 10 minutes, then act hungry again. And that is the part that stays with you. Maybe we were seeing the behaviour clearly, but understanding it completely wrong. What makes this confusing is how normal the behaviour looks. Your Labrador is not barking, panicking, or creating obvious trouble. He is often just there, waiting, watching, returning again. That calmness makes owners dismiss the pattern too quickly. They think nothing serious can sit inside such quiet behaviour, but quiet behaviour can still carry strong internal pressure. A dog does not need chaos to be struggling. He may simply feel drawn back toward food repeatedly. Not because he forgot eating happened a few minutes earlier, not because he wants to annoy you on purpose, but because the feeling of wanting may stay longer. That is the part most people never measure properly. They count meals, but they do not count pressure. And when pressure stays hidden, the dog looks unfairly guilty. So owners usually explain it with the easiest possible answer. They say, he is just greedy, and move on quickly. That explanation feels clean, simple, and emotionally satisfying enough. It gives the behaviour a label and ends curiosity there. But simple labels often hide more than they reveal. Because greed does not explain why some Labradors beg constantly. It does not explain why some stay food-focused all day. It does not explain why training sometimes changes little. And it definitely does not explain why this breed repeats it. When a behaviour appears again and again consistently, you should pause. Repetition usually means something deeper is supporting the pattern. That deeper thing may be habit, emotion, reinforcement, or biology. We are not choosing between those too early here. We are just refusing the lazy explanation first. Now notice what happens inside an ordinary home each day. A cupboard opens and your Labrador lifts his head. A wrapper moves and his whole attention changes immediately. Someone enters the kitchen and his body follows silently. None of this looks dramatic from the outside at first, but when these moments keep happening, a picture starts forming. Food is not just interesting to him in passing. It may feel unusually important, unusually rewarding, unusually difficult to ignore. That difference matters more than most owners realise. Because if food feels heavier in his mind, behaviour changes. He watches longer, he waits longer, he returns sooner, and he learns every small signal around meals quickly. This is the point where we stop blaming the surface. In the next step, we start asking why this breed may carry that pressure more strongly than many owners expect. Not every breed carries pressure in quite the same way. One dog may lock onto movement more than food itself, another may watch the world more than your kitchen. But Labradors often feel different inside ordinary family homes. Food gets their attention quickly and keeps it longer sometimes. That does not make them worse, broken, or morally weaker. It makes them important to read more carefully instead. Because when a behaviour appears across many Labrador homes, patterns matter. You stop asking whether your dog is simply dramatic today. You start asking whether this breed carries appetite differently underneath. That is where the story begins changing for most owners. Comparison helps only when it brings you back home. And once you accept that, the next question becomes unavoidable. If this keeps happening so often, what is supporting it? Is it only habit, routine, and learned opportunity around food? Or is something deeper shaping how strongly hunger feels inside? This is where the paper matters more than opinion. Because the researchers did not begin with owner frustration alone. They looked into Labrador biology, body fat, and appetite signals. And what they found changes the tone immediately there. The behaviour stops looking random, personal, or purely manipulative. It starts looking like something older may be involved, something inherited, something measurable, something harder to dismiss casually now. So before calling your Labrador greedy one more time, look closely at what science actually found inside this breed. So now, look at what the researchers actually found here. They studied Labrador retrievers and searched for patterns behind obesity. But this was never only about body weight alone. They also looked at appetite, food focus, and eating drive. And one signal stood out more strongly than the others. It pointed to a gene called DEND1B in Labradors. You do not need to memorize that strange name today. What matters is what it suggests underneath the behavior. Some Labradors may feel food pull harder from inside, not because they are bad, spoiled, or hopelessly dramatic, but because their biology may push appetite more strongly. That is why this paper matters to ordinary owners. It takes a behaviour people judge every single day, then asks whether part of that pressure begins deeper than training, manners, or household routine alone. Watch the rhythm. Watch the body. Watch the recovery after eating. Because once you observe clearly, the behaviour starts telling you whether this is ordinary appetite, learned habit, or stronger pressure needing better structure. And that structure is where your response really matters now. Feed with purpose, not emotion, guilt, or daily negotiation. Slow meals down, measure portions carefully, and reduce random extras. Do not reward staring, pestering, or constant kitchen following either. But do not become harsh just because food matters deeply. Your Labrador may need clearer limits, not louder frustration from you. If hunger feels extreme, weight keeps rising, or stealing grows constant, speak with your veterinarian and check his whole routine carefully. Because the goal is not to shame your Labrador here. And it is not to excuse every behaviour automatically either. The goal is to understand the pressure, then manage it honestly. That is what this research gives responsible owners at last. Not a dramatic answer, a more precise one. And sometimes, precision changes a dog's whole life.